I've just got the mortgage through on my latest buy-to-let property, which I've rebuilt. Today we're going to talk through the numbers and see whether or not it was a naughty deal or whether it was just a learning curve. I'm going to share the lessons learned along the way, from borrowing cash to demolishing walls to the strategy that I used, the buy, refurbish, refinance, rent strategy. So let's just get into it straight away and crunch these numbers. So here's the deal. I bought the bungalow as part of a buy, refurbish, refinance strategy known as a BRRR, a BRRR. So the goal was to buy a fixer-upper, renovate it, refinance it, aka get a mortgage, and that 75% mortgage, pull out all the money, rent it out for cash flow, the bungalow, live on a beach, sipping pina coladas, and live a happy life. Sounds super simple, right? Wrong. So I didn't actually have any money to purchase the place at the time. So I spoke to a mortgage broker and I went down the bridging loan route, and I managed to secure funding for the property purchase and the renovation costs, which short term covered my ass. So I purchased the property for $207,500. It was in a shoddy state. Think like outdated interiors, subsided garages, jungle garden. It was just rough. So the plan was to refurb it, increase the value, repay the loan, and rent it out. Happy days. So let's just get into the figures, right? Let's get my laptop out. So as I said, purchased for $207,500. The refurbishment costs came in at $29,937. This covered new flooring, kitchen, bathrooms, roof repairs, rewire and plumb. The legals, stamp duty and fees come in at $12,879. These are always a killer because it's like I feel like they're not going towards much. But that covered the conveyancing, surveys, stamp duty. Then on to the bridging finance. This totaled in at $19,230, which was good. If it would have taken me a year, it would have totaled in at 30,000. So I managed to save 11 grand there, which is nice. That is with a 0.77% interest per month and 5,387 arrangement fee. To refinance the property, that cost me 9 grand. I couldn't believe how much that was, but yeah, 9,000. So all in, the total cost was £278,546. So that's everything, all in. Cock on the block. That's the total price that I've paid with everything included. So originally, when I'd first started to do the property, I'd estimated that the end value of the place would be around the 290 mark. So after the refurb, I then got the place revalued. Drum roll, please. It came in at 310,000. Yeah. And that's from the lender. So they're very conservative. I refinanced straight away, pulling 75% of that 310. And I managed to pull out 234,000. So I repaid the loan, the total loan was 254,000. And I paid the 9 grand buy-to-let mortgage fee. I've just noticed something while I've been editing the video. So I just want to make it clear that when I've been repaying the loan, that also includes the construction costs, legal fees and things like that. That also includes the interest and the arrangement fee for the loan. So a lot of those costs that I mentioned in the start are actually paid for by me refinancing and repaying the loan. That covers a lot of that anyway. So bearing in mind, I've not actually put any money in to this deal at this point. Obviously the loan and the mortgage fee was more than what I pulled out, so I had to top it up. So I had to top it up with £29,000. So effectively, I paid 29 grand for a 25% equity of this bungalow, which is worth 76,000, which means there's a £47,000 profit left in the deal. So now let's just get onto the rental income. So the bungalow rents for £1,250 per month, which is 15 grand annually. After the mortgage fees of £830, I'm bringing in roughly £420 per month, which is 5 grand annually. So it's not amazing, it's not going to set the world alight, but it's still a 17% return on investment from the 29 grand that was put in. So was this a good deal? That's the question that I'm still umming and ahhing and weighing up. So on the plus side, I got the property for below market value, added £102,000 in uplift through the refurb. I pulled out most of the capital through the refinance, and the rental income does give me a solid return, which beats a saving account any day. So that's a plus. But obviously there were challenges along the way. There was obviously unexpected structural issues with the garage, so that subsided. The front driveway cost a hell of a lot more than I thought, than I budgeted. And also the refinance took around 2 months to do, which was really long. I hadn't anticipated that. And also towards the end of the project, I was getting a little bit ill and I was getting a bit stressed trying to organise the contractors to sort the last little bits out. But overall, I would call it a win. The numbers stack up. Cash flow is fairly steady. The deal obviously isn't the best deal in the world. It's not an all money out deal, but I don't think there's any shame in leaving money in a property. As long as it's cash flowing, as long as you're getting that capital growth throughout the years, I think it's a solid deal. So I've learned though that when you're on a loan, that you have more pressure, and that ultimately pushed me down the refinance route, which is fine. But if I had my time again, just sell the place straight away. Take the money, run off into the hills, and move on to the next one. But when you're on a bridging loan, you need to think of the quickest route to get off the bridging loan, because the loan just bridges the gap for you to get the purchase done and the deal, and you quickly need to repay it. I can't sit around and wait 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months in this market for somebody to go through the legal process, buy a house, I've got to wait for my house to sell. So these things can take a long time. So I couldn't afford to do that. Otherwise I could have racked up the loan quite a lot. The main thing that I would say I learned though is securing the bridging loan in the first place. I've never done that before. So it was a bit nerve-wracking borrowing that amount of money, because it was a lot of money. But it gave me the speed to snap up the deal, get on with the refurb, bang, bang, bang. It was fast and good, and it felt like things were pushing, which was amazing. But the other tip that I think I learned was to use a good mortgage broker. And the broker that I used, Chris Brito from Bridgemore Capital, shout outs to Chris, he talked me through it and held my hand throughout the process and exactly what was going on. And I know I'm obviously paying him, which is fine, but I wanted that reassurance along the way. As I was inexperienced, I wanted to be able to phone somebody up and say, right, what does this mean? How do I do that? Where are we at now? What's the next step? And it's invaluable to have that knowledge there. So I definitely think it's good to have a good mortgage broker that can also sort you out with an exit plan as well. So no early repayment fees on the loan, things like that you have to consider, and your broker will know. Secondly, I leveled up the DIY skills. I learned how to hardwall. That was quite interesting. Obviously level the floors out. I learned a bit about subsidence. So there was a fair bit that was learned throughout the process, and the main thing that I knew was I slow down the build. So the moment I get these professional trades in, it's so quick, so quick. It does take a lot of time to learn new skills and to learn new trades because you've never done it before, so you're going to be naturally slower. So in future, I think my aim is to step back slightly, let the people who know what they're doing crack on, and then I think that will make more of a seamless process during the build stage. Just finally, just talking about the actual deal itself, the buy, refurbish, refinance, rent strategy. It's a super powerful tool, and I'll definitely use it again. But it's not at all by any means a set and forget. You just do it and it's done. It's quite a hard, complicated process, and you need to stay on top of your costs. You need to stay on top of your timescales, most importantly, and you need to stay on top of the market trends. If you're in an area where the rental demand isn't very high, it's going to be tough to do, because you can do the refurb and the rent, the refurb and the refinance, but it might be tough to rent, or you might not get the rental yields that cover your mortgage costs. So there's a lot of little factors that you do need to consider. So I think I'll definitely use this strategy again, but I'll need to really make sure the deal stacks up super well, just to give myself a bit more contingency. But that is my bungalow journey. Let me know what you think. Was it a good deal? Was it not? What would you have done differently? Any tips or advice for me? Yeah, drop a comment below if you've tried the strategy as well. And if you found this video helpful. I find these videos super helpful where people break down the numbers, because when you're learning these sort of things, there's no one really tells you what happens and how it works. So yeah, make sure you smash the like button, the subscribe button, and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss the next property. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.